been to Minnesota in probably 20 years.
Bring your ass.
Welcome to Flagrant Howls, a Minnesota Timberwolves lifestyle podcast.
All right, what a night at Target Center last night. The Timberwolves playing with their food in front of a rabid crowd, only to come back and win. We'll get into the state of the Wolves here on this Monday, as we do every single week. Presented in part by MSP Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. Sports father?
Yes, and sports children, may I urge you to make sure that your furnace, especially this time of year, I know it's a little bit warmer today, but we are in for cold snaps because that's what happens, and you want to be prepared, and MSP Plumbing, Heating, and Air is going to make sure that you are. How? By making sure that if you have any questions about your furnace, that it's going at maximum capacity. Don't forget, you know what? Don't risk frozen pipes, burst pipes. Those are very, very costly. What's not costly is contacting the folks at MSP and making sure that your furnace is set for the winter. They are also your local Carrier dealer, and Carrier and MSP, a winning combination. So how do you get hold of them? Well, I'm going to tell you. 651-615-4292 is the number, or check out their website, callmsp.com. Call MSP.com for all your plumbing, heating, and air-like needs.
Also, Bricksworth is powering Flagrant Howls this season here. Bricksworth in the North Loop, one of the Mackey's favorite spots to go get some great dry rub wings. If you enjoy an IPA, the Nas Reed Signature Hazy IPA is available, and Detroit-style pizza. This is a great place to hang out pre- and post-game for home games, or even just enjoy their specials for away games as well. Belly up with some friends and watch the Wolfies on TV. They brew their own craft beer at the OG Burnsville location with a focus and passion for hazy IPA. So Bricksworth, one of the best places in the North Loop, just steps away from Target Center. All right, dudes. So here's the overview as we give you every week on the state of the Wolves. They're currently 19-10, fifth in the Western Conference after being stuck sixth in the Western Conference. They are just percentage points ahead of the Rockets now, who they've surpassed. Playoff odds, according to ESPN's Basketball Power Index, 97% chance to make the playoffs. Conference finals, to get back for a third consecutive year, 8%. To win the whole thing, the LOB, and hoist it, 0.5% chance to win the whole thing. And then their offensive rating is currently 8th. Their defensive rating is 7th. And their overall net rating is 8th. So very solidly one of the best teams in the NBA. Right there in that kind of second tier. I think Oklahoma City probably occupies the entire top tier. And I'll jump to the biggest storyline, and we can react and then get to our favorite things and least favorite things about the Wolves. I think the biggest storyline since the last time we convened on a Monday episode was that we had the classic full Timberwolves experience over the course of the weekend. The full range of what this team is capable of from Friday through Sunday. Friday night, you hand Oklahoma City national spotlight, right? It's a prime game. And you hand Oklahoma City just their third loss of the season, with Anthony Edwards hitting that step-back three, down by 2, 30, 40, whatever it was, 40 seconds left in the game. He cashes that three, and he also caps it off in the final moments with a block and a steal. Just absolutely takes over that game when they needed it. And everyone's celebrating, raucous vibe at Target Center. And then, very predictably, you get a day off, and then here comes Sunday, and you're playing a Giannis-less Bucks team, and you're down by 16 points in the third quarter, and have to find a way to claw yourselves back to victory. So the full Wolves experience on display over the weekend, boys. That's the biggest story.
And it was the least surprising thing of all time, because like I went on Friday, and the atmosphere in the building was phenomenal. It was great. And that game was a lot of fun. But you knew then, it's like, Giannis is out, we can beat. And this is the frustrating thing. What's interesting about this is my ordinary contention is if you pull the stunt that the Wolves pull a lot, it's going to bite you in the ass eventually, like in the playoffs. But because in the playoffs, they're all big games, the Wolves have lost in the playoffs, but I don't feel like they've lost a round because they get checked out. Now, does it cost you seeding? The answer is it can. It sure can, and that's a problem. But yeah, it was the most predictable Wolves thing when I looked on Sunday, third quarter, and they're down by 16. And I'm like, of course they are. They just can't put their bleeping foot on the gas pedal and run right over the Bucks. They've got to make it. They've got to keep the Bucks in and then say, okay, now enough is enough. Mike Conley, you missed 4 games, but you're back. Go lead us.
And I feel like it's always one or two things that kind of happen that are similar. It's either like there's a player that gets hurt, and okay, Jaden McDaniels gets hurt, and or Anthony Edwards has one of his patented, like at once every 8 or 10 games, he goes 7 for 24. And it's not quite as bad as early in his career where he'd give you like the 3 for 15, but he falls into these patterns where, and it's usually against a terrible team. And I don't know if it's because he's just disinterested and he's jacking up too many threes or whatever it is. He's tried to motivate himself by hunting for the scoring title, he said before the season in some of these situations. But I mean, it's like unless it's a game against a championship contender on a national platform, he just can't quite get the same fix, I guess, against a Giannis-less Bucks team locally telecast. But like going back to the Friday night win, there's still some things in that game that are red flags for, well, Oklahoma City is a walking red flag for like anyone beating them in a 7-game series.
Yep.
But like if you would have told me, all right, you're playing Oklahoma City again, and the biggest issue among others has been Julius Randle is terrible against Oklahoma City, and he is once again going to go 3 for 15 from the field and is going to be just a disaster trying to score the basketball. Do they have any chance to win that game? I said, oh, no, they're probably losing by 15 points. Mm-hmm. So to beat Oklahoma City on a night where Julius Randle was 3 for 15, but he found a way to shoot 16 free throws and was a plus 10 in his 32 minutes was sort of an interesting development. If you could ever find a way to get a more efficient Julius Randle against the treetops that are Oklahoma City, then you might actually have a chance to beat them in a 7-game series. But I think on the flip side, if Oklahoma City were to rank every team in the NBA based on which team, like you guys think you're going to win the title, but like which team is likely to give you the biggest problem in a 7-game series, I think their answer would be the Timberwolves, based on like some of the regular season stuff last year and even a couple of the games that Oklahoma City won, but that were tighter in that series from last season.
It's interesting too, because on that point, and this is the thing that you can't appreciate unless you watch it, but the Gobert factor, right? Like 15 boards on Friday night. He played well, I believe, against the Bucks last night. Like that's the thing is, he's such a punchline, which is not fair, but he's such a punchline, and there's just such an assumption of like when Gobert's name is mentioned, an eye roll, right? It's like, oh, Gobert, but the amount of like intangible things he brings, not in the scoring stats, but in other facets, I think he is I think at his best, he could be described as a massive pain in the ass for teams.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Which is a great thing. But I mean, that's how you, in certain situations, yes, he can be exploited in the playoffs, but there's also things that you can do with him that make him a problem as well, that the majority of guys defensively just don't bring.
Yep. No, he's hard to get around and shoot over. Yeah. And there was examples in that game last night where he's just altering shots and pass to the hoop. And until someone, because there's still so many fans that just want to boot him off the island and just include him in every possible trade. Okay, but like be careful what you wish for. If you think the strategy for beating Oklahoma City in a 7-game series is to get smaller, I don't know what to tell you. Like, it's not going to go well. So if you're just trying to get Rudy Gobert off the island because you're sick of watching his stone hands and kind of his general rudiness, then I need a solution on the other end of, okay, how do you get better without completely crippling yourself against some of the big dominant teams in the Western Conference? Because he does provide that, man. Like if you're gonna roll with, okay, Jaden's gonna play bigger and Nas is gonna play bigger against some teams, that's great and that works. I feel like against Oklahoma City, they've got trees, man. Like Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren, they literally have like 2 praying mantises up front and these long, handsy, lanky wing players, which I'll get into something in the next category. So I'm with you. I continue to acknowledge Rudy Gobert's shortcomings, but stand for the value that he has brought to this organization the last 4 years and this year. How about our favorite current Wolves things? Can I lead us off, because that's a good segue, with my favorite thing was Chris Finch getting ejected on Friday night. And I don't know how planned it was, premeditated. Kind of felt like he was looking for a reason to set a tone for the game and maybe even for like the rest of the season. He absolutely eviscerated those officials and had to be held back by his assistants. It's funny, Micah Nori, who took over the rest of the game, who is one of the top head coach candidates in the NBA. He was talking to the reporters after the game. Were you in there for the post game there, Judd?
Yeah.
And he goes, he said, yeah, I mean, Finchy didn't want to get ejected in that spot. I think it was after he finished his answer. I think it was Jace Frederick who's like, he didn't want to get ejected.
He basically grabbed the mic from Krasinski. He's like, he didn't want to get ejected. He's like, oh.
I think he pretty clearly was ready to get ejected. But his main point, as he's been making, and a lot of people have been making, is that Oklahoma City is so aggressively handsy and physical, and they don't get called for nearly a high enough percentage of the fouls that they should be getting called for. And what I find funny is the Oklahoma City media and fans. And media, it's like, you guys, like, you're supposed to be professionals who are analyzing this objectively. Well, if you look, Oklahoma City gets called for more fouls than their opponents. It's like, that's not the argument. The argument isn't Oklahoma City free throws versus opponent free throws. The argument is percentage of Oklahoma City handsy, aggressive, physical defensive play that should be called a foul, actually called a foul. They have, and someone put a clip out on social media of like the number of times where Julius Randle or Anthony Edwards is going through the lane. Mark Cuban retweeted it. And it's like Oklahoma City player grabbing a forearm, ripping it down, grabbing an arm over here.
It's 90s basketball, yeah.
And Mark Cuban retweeted it, and at NBA officials, what makes these so hard to call in game? Honest question, basically. Is it like the angles? Is it the game flow? Are they so good at just being so physical all the time that it's like in the NFL? Well, if you're just that handsy, the Seattle Seahawks from 10 years ago, they're not going to call everything.
Right.
So it's like Chris Finch apparently got a bunch of texts and calls from people around the league saying, thank you for doing that on behalf of all of us on Friday night.
So to me, and this cost him $35,000, okay? So he got fined $35,000. This was not cheap, but in my opinion, it was 100% premeditated based on two things. One is, and this circulated a lot on Twitter post-game Friday, but if you guys go back, the Wolves played OKC, and I think they won in the regular season last year. And Finch at the podium basically said, you know, the way that they play, they don't get called. And then if we touch Shea, we breathe on Shea. Of course, Shea just falls down. But we don't get the benefit of the doubt on that. And so how are we supposed to play? And I think Finch's goal was, okay, this should get through, right? Like, the league's going to hear this. The league's like, we don't care. So on Friday, it was bad. Now he got mad legitimately because Ant got fouled, and on the same play, then the rebound, Julius got fouled probably worse than Ant did.
Yeah.
And that's when, and as the play went back up court with OKC in possession, Finch literally was chasing the official past half court on the sideline, and they stopped and they gave him a tee, and then he went ballistic. But I think it was based on that. I think it was based on the fact that this was his next move. His next move was, I'm going to lose my crap because they're not listening. And he piggybacked too. Chris Finch is no dummy. He very, very smart piggybacked Wemby, who, a week before that, had basically said, we play, our Spurs play ethical, honorable basketball. It was just a great quote. But like, I think there's a large contingent that just because the OKC style is actually not that much fun. And the problem is, like, that game, the intensity was awesome, and the game had a playoff feel, which was really fun. But, like, the overall game is not that great. And after Finch did that, They actually did call 17 more fouls on OKC than the Wolves. But you guys, that meant that there were 77 fouls called in that game, which is not fun at all. So, like, it's not great. But the other thing is, and Mike and Nori referenced this, and this to me was why Finch said, you know what, I'll pay $35,000, no problem. Mike and Nori said that a couple days before that game, Finch had laid into the team during a film session, and Micah's point was, we are at Christmas time, and nobody feels that we have gotten our groove yet, and that's because the Wolves will play great. They're good enough to win games, but they're not playing like a championship team enough, right? And so I think Finch said two things. One is, I'm sick of that BS by OKC. I'm going to throw down a gauntlet there. But also for my team, I want them to be as infuriated and play with the rage that they're not playing with. Because the Wolves seem to be a collection of, and I might be totally wrong here, but they seem to be a collection of mostly sort of nice, fun guys. And Ant's intense in games, but there doesn't seem to be that, like, December edge. And I think Finch said, between those two things, it's worth the fine. I am going to light this building up, and damn it, he did. I don't think I've seen it. It was, I referenced this, Phil. It, to me, was vintage, old school Ron Gardenhire Metrodome days.
Where he's going to throw his hat, he's going to kick dirt over the plate.
He's
being
being held back.
He's playing to the crowd. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I want to come back to the free throw thing in a second, but maybe we can just bounce around from favorite, least favorite. We can kind of go in and out of the categories here, because you hit on one of my least favorite things about this really good Timberwolves team. I mean, they're 19. This is one of the best starts in franchise history. It's like the third best start in franchise history. They're 19-10. They just beat Oklahoma City. But they do look oddly disjointed for stretches for a 19-10 basketball team that's been to back-to-back Western Conference Finals. And I think part of it is, and this is specifically my least favorite thing, they are way too externally motivated as a team. Oklahoma City, now they're super talented too. Talent drives a lot of winning, but Oklahoma City doesn't need, like, to feel slighted by officials or disrespected by an opponent or yelled at by their coach in a film session to go beat the brakes off a team by 20 points every night. They are intrinsically motivated as an NBA team. And the Timberwolves are far too often, and Anthony Edwards is probably the most guilty of this, needing that external thing, like, what's going to get us excited for this game? Well, we got to be yelled at in a film session, and our coach has to go apoplectic and get ejected on national TV and get the crowd into it. And then we can lock into our best basketball mode. It's like, if you want to win a championship, you got to find more ways to motivate yourself internally as a team so that you can just go and not be down by 16 points against the Bucks in the third quarter of a game where they don't have Giannis. On the free throw front, I was oddly, the algorithm hit me with all the Oklahoma City, like, bloggers and YouTubers and even, like, beat writers. And all of them pointed out at the end of the game, the Wolves shot 47 free throws to Oklahoma City's 30. I think that's one of the highest free throw attempt numbers of any team in the NBA this season. And of course, on the Oklahoma City side, they're like, well, what more do you want? I mean, the referees are called, like, what do you, it's skewed to Minnesota. They shot 47 free throws. The Wolves shot 47 free throws because Oklahoma City committed that many fouls. That's what they do. It wasn't the officials, like, jobbing OKC or going above and beyond. The officials were correctly calling all of the overly aggressive, overly handsy penalties that Oklahoma City committed in that game. It was more closely aligned with what should be correct every night against that team.
But the Wolves do not go to the free throw line 47 times if Finch does not melt down completely.
Agreed. Yeah.
So, like, it did work.
It did feel like, too, despite remove the OKC fanboy and girls here just for a moment. It felt like nationally, because the clip I saw all over the weekend was the SGA just flailing like crazy underneath the basket, right? And I saw so many people, stitching that together and saying, this is why, even though no one is denying SGA is not a great player and he deserves recognition, this is why more people actually do gravitate towards Anthony Edwards, because he's not like this. He is much more of a tenacious and old school and throwback guy that you want to root for. And that's the thing with SGA. Like, yes, he is a free throw foul merchant. I don't think he has to play like that all the time either. Like, I think there's a player in SGA that is just as good and can be just as good as some of the best players in the league. But this mantra and this attitude that he plays with damages his credibility as like a true embracing NBA star.
Yeah,
and I appreciated that. I think a lot of other even just national talking heads were looking at that and saying, yeah, this is why Anthony Edwards is much more fun to root for.
Like, to that point, so SGA averages just under 10 free throws a game this season. Anthony Edwards is at 7.5 free throw attempts per game. So like that's a pretty, like, Edwards is 10th and SGA is third in free throw attempts per game. But there's a 2.5 free throw attempt difference between the two. Do you think SGA shoots more free throws because he actually takes more contact in a 48-minute, or is it because he embellishes more contact in a 48-minute game than Anthony Edwards? It's kind of a rhetorical question, I think.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Well, and SGA, because of his build, embellishes it and can sell it because he's slight. Ant is an old school guy, but
he's
and
a
Ant
brick
is a
house. Yeah.
exactly. And the thing about it, and we talked about this
Mate.
last season, if Ant wanted to draw more fouls, he basically has to flop. Like, his thing is, if he's going through to the basket, if he's driving to the basket, he is counting on the officials to call it, but he's going for the basket in the and one.
Yeah.
SGA is much more of a, it would be like if Steph flopped more because of his build. But I think OKC as a whole is really respected in some ways, but I do think the league is sick of how they play. And as a fan, it's not super attractive to watch, that's for sure.
But the other thing that'll be interesting is for decades and decades, people complain about the best team in the NBA in some form. That people say they hate dominant dynasties, but it actually creates this kind of good versus evil, hero versus villain dynamic. Yeah, face versus heel from a wrestling standpoint.
Evil empire.
And Oklahoma City did not seem like a likely candidate at any point in the last 10 years to emerge as the villain, as the heel of the NBA. And like when the Miami Heat were the heel of the NBA, it wasn't because they were necessarily foul hunting merchants, although they kind of were with LeBron and Dwayne Wade. It was more about the way that they assembled that team. They, like, LeBron just pieced out of Cleveland and Chris Bosh pieced out of Toronto, and they formed a super team under the salary cap, right? So people hated the way that they went about it. I think the Warriors were not hated necessarily until they won 2 championships, and then they brought in Durant, and it was like, okay, it really, guys. And so it was more of a super team hate. This is Oklahoma City. The credit to them is they built a super team through asset acquisition, like the draft, development. They didn't, but the Clippers thing, like, Oklahoma City sold the best at the time, the best piece. It was like a dump trade that they got the best player out of it. And where they turned into a villain is the way that they play basketball and the way that they foul hunt and the way it's just like aesthetically displeasing. So, but I do think as much as they are hateable, I think it's good for the NBA because it creates this villain for the rest of the league to sort of hunt down. And the Timberwolves feel like the best hero to slay that villain.
Ooh,
and I hope it happens that way.
Oh, slay the dragon.
That's right. Before we get to some more of our favorite and least favorite things, Heather is a hero if you're looking to buy or sell a house. Wolves Realtor.
That's right. So a new year coming up here. Interest rates, right, are dropping. They're fluctuating. Let Heather take care of this for you. If you're looking to buy or sell a house, maybe you're looking to buy your first house like I did almost a year ago. You need a good realtor to help you hold your hand through this process. Heather can do that. She's a diehard Wolves fan. Plus, just go to wolvesrealtor.com right now, and you can enter to win free Wolves tickets. Heather's always giving away Wolves tickets. She's got great season tickets right behind the backboard there. It's an awesome spot. Wolvesrealtor.com for Wolves tickets. Plus, any real estate needs, our Flagrant Howls audience, if you're looking to buy or sell that house, go support our friend Heather, wolvesrealtor.com to learn more.
Also, Federated Insurance powering the State of the Wolves Monday here on Flagrant Howls, in addition to helping small and medium-sized businesses for over 100 years. It's also an excellent place. Federated was recently named Best In-State Employer 2025 by Forbes and one of America's most admired workplaces by Newsweek going into 2026. If you're interested in either starting your career or maybe pivoting your career, you can go to federatedinsurance.com/careers and find out more about their workplace culture and opportunities. Federatedinsurance.com/careers. And then Element Hotel. If you're in town looking for a place, maybe you're coming in to watch a Wolves game or even a Twins game later on this year, Element Hotel is close by.
Yeah, you could double dip maybe. In fact, maybe just mostly stay at Target Center and just like peek through the plaza there at Target Field. Whatever you'd like to do. It's a great hotel. It's steps away from Target Field. So whether you're coming for a Wolves game, Twins game, night in, night out, staycation. ScoreNorth.com/element for 15% off your room rate. ScoreNorth.com/element. So Westin Hotel, they got a free Wi-Fi. It's also pet friendly too. Bring your little wolf. ScoreNorth.com/element for 15% off.
Okay, Judd, why don't you, we're kind of bouncing around here. Hit us with your least favorite thing, because I think it opens up an interesting discussion here.
Here we go again. That's my least favorite thing, and it has nothing to do with anything the Timberwolves have done wrong. I saw this story yesterday. So we all remember the Timberwolves and the Wild, and at the time the Twins' problems with Diamond Sports Group, and the fact that they declared Chapter 11. That was Bally Sports North. We didn't know where games were going to be. Ultimately, it got solved, and the Wild and the Wolves went to or stayed on FanDuel Sports Network, and that company, Diamond, relaunched as Main Street Sports Group. Okay, so for now we're fine, right? Nah, we're not. Main Street Sports Group has missed a payment to the St. Louis Cardinals for December. How is this important? Because when you start to miss payments, it's a big deal. These are $1 million payments. Now, this could go one of three ways. I will explain quickly, but all of them could impact Wolves fans. There was a previous report that DAZN was in agreement to buy Main Street Sports Group. Well, they are flush with cash. If they do, I don't know what's going to happen exactly, but FanDuel will still be there for the rest of the season, and there will probably be a deal worked out in some sort where DAZN is a liquid company, so they're in fine shape. Okay, yeah. So that's not bad. That deal, though, has to close, according to the story, by January, or else Main Street Sports Group, i.e. FanDuel Sports Net, is going to go under. Option 2, they go under, but they see through to complete the hockey and basketball seasons. Now, the question becomes, okay, that's fine if you want to do that, but are you making your payments? That's another question. The Armageddon scenario, and this is the bad one, real bad, is if Main Street Sports Group / FanDuel goes under during the course of the season, and now they're just gone. And so then the question becomes, oh, cool, where do I watch the Timberwolves? They're a really good team. The answer, the NBA appears to be, I know you're going to be shocked by this, the NBA appears to be far more prepared for this than the National Hockey League. But for Wolves fans, what they would do is they would immediately transition to a situation where the league pass, the blackouts would be lifted in local markets. So there's something like 13 NBA teams. It's a lot that are run by Main Street Sports Group. So you would have it be where the Wolves, you could get them on League Pass locally. You can't now. It's blacked out. Now, the issue is you would probably have to, if you don't already, subscribe to League Pass to see games. However, they would still be available. And the only question then is, where would the production, who would produce it? Because right now, Main Street pays those bills. Who would produce it? And who would pay for the production? And just the last thing here is, if you're curious, the report is, according to Sports Business Journal, that the Wolves' rights fees. So it's like, okay, what do they get? They get a check. They get a check for $24.9 million per season.
Okay.
That would be gone. So, like, this is both from a business standpoint and, more importantly, for fans, a viewing standpoint. We're right back in the same predicament.
Kind of. I think for the rest of this season, the NBA would figure out a way, whether it's open up League Pass to, like, they would just take a bath on it, or I mean they would find a way to distribute, or maybe you partner with, like, if you can figure out who pays for the production of the games, a Care 11 or an over the air kind of broadcast. But to me, it's more of a long-term discussion about what does this all look like. Can we please blast this RSN model into the sun? This, like, FanDuel Sports Network, which used to be Bally Sports North, which used to be Fox Sports North, which blah, blah, blah. Like, it is so much of a relic of the past, and not the way that this is headed in, well, it's really, like, not the way that it should be operating now, but you have to untangle this mess of, like, 13 teams. I think what's going to happen is, starting in 2026, Adam Silver knows, like, he's usually ahead of the curve on certain things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
take those 13 teams and more, if possible, pool them together, put them on a streaming platform that most people have, whether it's Prime or Netflix, whatever it is. They're already flirting with these platforms anyways. And you'll get your $24 million per team back. Like, if you pool together half the NBA or more, and you said, okay, Peacock, Prime, or Netflix, or ESPN, your new ESPN app, you write us a check and we will distribute that money equally across the board. These networks are overpaying by bazillions of dollars for, like, a Christmas Day slate of football games that's going to feature 3 third-string quarterbacks playing on Thursday, by the way. Like, Netflix is paying crazy amounts to the NFL to get high-level live sports, just to get people, like, over to their platforms. What we're also seeing is the minute that local teams are no longer the day-to-day pulse, like, of cable television or your YouTube TV equivalent or your Hulu TV equivalent, that's the death of traditional cable TV more than anything. Wait, so, like, live sports aren't on those packages anymore? Okay, now maybe they'd find a way to, like, incorporate them in some form, but I think this is just, to me, this is just expediting a process that's been in the works for the last several years.
Yeah, I think short term for fans, the key is if this FanDuel went under, I don't know, January 15th, where would I find games? The answer is League Pass, which they'll lift the blackout. But your next question is, do I have to pay more? The answer is, if you don't get League Pass, you do. Long term, the goal is, I mean, and the NBA is prepared. So what their goal is, and it makes perfect sense, and it's very similar to baseball, although it's a more successful product than baseball. They feel that they can get every team except for 2, you won't be surprised, under a league umbrella. And again, that's the goal, because then you can share
and Knicks.
The revenue. And the Lakers and Knicks have RSN deals that pay a ton, and they don't want to give that up. It's going to be like the Yankees and Dodgers. Same exact thing. But that being said, it sounds like every other team could be incorporated. And yeah, this is going in a different direction. And long-term, basketball will be absolutely fine. I think the frustration, though, is you got to be kidding me, right? Like, if you're a fan, you just want to watch the damn games, and now you're telling me there's a threat again? So long-term, fine. Short-term, it's just like, you got to be joking.
Yeah. We're in, like, this 5 or 8 year period that goes back a few years with NHL, Major League Baseball, and the NBA trying to work its way through this long-time old model into a newer model, and also trying to be mindful that, like, the older section of the audience maybe isn't fully immersed in the new streaming platforms, and people are now starting to complain about how much it costs to have all these platforms.
That's
and,
the
like,
thing.
all of these are sort of pain points to work through.
Yeah.
But FanDuel Sports Network is not going to be part of the solution. So the quicker we can be done with that and into whatever's next, the better.
Tying teams together is almost dead. Now it becomes leagues, not teams.
Yep. Niches get the riches. That's right.
And it's not going to be cheap. That's the other thing.
I know. All right. Well, there's your State of the Wolves Monday here on Flagrant Howls. For Judd, Dex, I'm Phil. Enjoy a couple games this week. We got Wolves Nuggets on Christmas night, and then we'll probably see you back after that for a little feedback Friday on your favorite Timberwolves lifestyle podcast.